Hey guys, what's up? I am just randomly sat at a park right now because it started pouring like crazy, and Matt was like, I really want to get 4K, like almost ASMR like footage of this. Can we go somewhere to a park or something so I can capture this? So I drove him to a nearby park, and he's out in the rain somewhere in the park getting footage, and I'm just sitting in the car. I figured this would be a good time for me to do a vlog. I wanted to do a talking vlog anyways. In fact, the next few videos is going to be a talking vlog because it's going to be a series. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. A lot of people have been asking me about it. It's also good timing for me too because I'm focusing my attention on filming my courses and editing my courses that I'm putting on Skillshare about how to vlog, and I wanted something more simple to release on my actual vlog channel. So it's a good timing. But today I'm going to be talking about how am I enjoying my time in Japan. Now that I'm here, now that I've been here for a few months, how do I feel about being here? I'm going to follow it up with videos that people have been asking me to make, which is what I like about Japan, what I don't like about Japan, what I liked about living in the States, what I don't like about living in the States. So those are going to be 4 separate vlogs. But today I wanted to kind of kickstart it with just talking about how I feel about being in Japan, because I've been here since January 16th now, and it's May 16th, 17th, 18th, I don't even remember what day it is. That's 4 months of being in Okinawa. You know, for the most part, when people ask me how I like living in Okinawa, I tell them I like it, I enjoy it. And it's true, I really, really do. But if I was to go a little bit deeper into, you know, how I really feel about living in Japan, there is layers, you know, it's not just black and white. Just to preface, because for people who don't know, I live in Okinawa, Japan. I grew up here until I was 20. Then I moved to California for 10 years. And then in January, my husband, my now husband, and I moved back to permanently live here in Japan. And so before I made that move from California to Japan, as we were packing and as we were moving everything, saying goodbye to friends, saying goodbye to Matt's family, saying goodbye to my dog. Sorry, I can't talk about my dog without wanting to cry. I knew that I was going to be happy moving to Japan, but I knew there was going to be a transition period. I knew that there's going to be a period of time where I was going to miss my friends, because, you know, when you first move to a new place, you're not going to have a lot of friends until you start making friends, and you're not going to have a lot of the same connections that you built, that you have in another place. For me, in California, where I built, you know, a life there for 10 years, a connection there for 10 years, friends there for 10 years, I'm not going to have that same thing here. And so I knew that in the beginning it was going to be hard. I knew that I was going to miss my friends. I knew I was going to miss Matt's family. I knew there was a lot of parts of the States that I was going to miss because I got so used to it living there for 10 years. And I'm not going to lie, there are moments where I'm like, man, I wish I was living in the States, or I wish I was back in the States. But I expected those moments to come. And since I knew that there was going to be that period where I was going to have, you know, those mixed feelings during transitioning, you know, I'm not as probably sad about it as I could be, and I'm not feeling as homesick because I expected these feelings and I knew that it was going to happen. So I had mentally prepared myself for these feelings. Hold on, I gotta take this off. So in that sense, like, yes, I do feel sad sometimes. Yes, I do feel homesick sometimes. But for the most part, I'm very happy that I decided to move to Japan. The thing is, when I think about the things that I miss about the States, it's not necessarily the state, like California. It's not that, because I actually really did not like where we were living. I didn't like California, or at least the parts of California that I lived in Sacramento, and But when I think about the things that I miss about Sacramento, it's not the place, it's the people. It's some of the things that I got used to, like the GTS brand kombucha. Like shit like that. Like, I miss the little things that I just got used to over the 10 years. You have to understand, I went through so much in the 10 years that I lived in California. I went from being super poor to having money to going through my first divorce to building my businesses. Like, I grinded the hell out of California and I worked my ass off there. So I like, I have a lot of memories and I have a lot of feelings about being there. But the things that I do miss the most are like my friends or the Granite Arches Rock Climbing Center. I miss that so much. I love that place. You know, as much as I miss my friends and I love my friends, I know I can make new friends here. And just because I live halfway across the world doesn't mean my connections to the friends that I made in the States are lost. It's just, you know, now there's bigger opportunities. I can go visit them. They can come visit me. You know, obviously we can't see each other as much as we want to, but the connection isn't severed. If Matt and I had more friends here and connections and built more connections here, like we did in the States, I think we would feel a little bit more differently when it comes to like how much we miss our friends. I think it's a lot different too, because after a month or two of coming to Okinawa, the coronavirus hit, so social distancing, we couldn't go out as much. And I think there's a lot of that too, is, you know, when we first originally planned on moving to Okinawa, we had so many ideas of what we wanted to do. Especially when it came to our YouTube channel, we wanted to go out and do things and like showcase Okinawa and even travel more. We wanted to go back to Taiwan. We wanted to go back to Thailand and Malaysia, because now that we're in Asia, we have so much easier access to all the other Asian countries that we wanted to visit. So we wanted to travel more. The virus really cramped our, you know, what we wanted to do. I think there's a lot of frustrations that stem from that. And then when we were living in Sacramento, Matt and I had an apartment for a year that was just the two of us. And for the first time, we weren't living with roommates. We weren't living with anybody. It was just the two of us and our dog. And that year, honestly, was probably some of the best times of our lives, and we haven't had that in all our adult years, because California is hella expensive to live and usually you need roommates. We started losing that when we moved in with Matt's parents right before we moved out here, and now that we moved out here, we live with my mom and my aunt and my grandpa and my uncle. And so I think that's another thing that we miss, is just the independence, having our own place. Right now we live in a house that is not ours. So, you know, it almost feels like we feel like guests in a house for an extended period of time. And I think that takes a little bit of toll emotionally. And don't get me wrong, like, I love being here with my family and being able to spend time with them, making up for the years that I wasn't here. It's fantastic. But it would be nice for us to be able to have our own place. And a lot of people who I think have experienced living away from their family or parents know that there is a sense of almost independence that gets lost when later in life you have to move back in with family for a little bit. It's one of those things where, you know, I don't forget that, like, I am very grateful for them offering to, you know, put a roof over our heads. I know they're happy to have us, but at the same time, you know, I'm sure there are moments where we're cramping their style. I am grateful, but if I was to be honest, there are parts of me where I'm like, man, you know, I wish we had our own place, but we're working towards that. So I think once Matt and I have our own place, we have our own stuff, we have more friends, I think the feeling of being here is going to be better, basically. But I think the biggest thing out of everything I just talked about, and I can't say this without fucking crying, the hardest thing for me is how much I miss my dog. For those of you guys who don't know, I have a dog named Buddy, and he's 10 years old, and he's a little Pomeranian, little shit, love him, but he's my baby boy. And Matt and I have always had the intention of bringing him here to Okinawa, and we're still planning on it. In fact, Matt was supposed to go back in April to pick up Buddy, but with the virus, his flight got canceled and everything just got pushed back. And one of my biggest fears is, because Buddy is 10 years old, the older he gets, the harder it's going to be for him to make that trip. And it's already hard for a dog as it is, but the older he gets, it's going to be harder and harder. There's a fear in me about that. I think that is probably the hardest thing. As much as I know I'm going to enjoy living in Okinawa, that I know that I want to be here right now, I think there's still such a pull for me to want to be in the States because of how much I miss my dog. The reality is, even if we could afford to get Matt another ticket to go back and have the money to bring Buddy back here, right now we can't because we still live with my mom, and my mom has a dog that doesn't mesh well with other dogs, so we couldn't even bring Buddy here even if everything else was good until Matt and I get a place of our own. I think back to the States a lot, and I miss my friends. I miss going to the rock climbing gym with my friends. I miss KT Noodle, which is a little Vietnamese restaurant that Matt and I absolutely love. I miss just this little mom and pop Vietnamese restaurant that honestly is the best Vietnamese food in the Sacramento area. And I miss Matt's family. But I think the biggest heartache and the biggest reason for my homesickness is how much I miss Buddy. I can't look at a picture of him. I can't watch a video of him that Matt's aunt sends because it like physically hurts when I think about my dog. I knew I was gonna cry when this happened. But he's kind of an emotional support dog for me, so like not having him is really hard. He's my baby. He's my four-legged fur baby. When people ask about how I feel about being back in Okinawa, and I say that I'm happy here, it is true. I am happy here. I don't regret making the decision, but I knew that during that transition period, it was going to be hard. At first. I think a lot of that will change, like I said, once Matt and I have our own apartment, once we have our dog here, once we have established some sort of routine, some sort of income. Like, I think all of that will slowly change once we have more friends here. That's a slow process. It takes some time for all of that to build. I remember in the States there were like 2 or 3 years where I hated being there until I started making friends and started making money and started having my own place. Like, all of that changes how you feel about a place. I wanted to kickstart the next few series, the next 4 days, with this vlog specifically, because in the next 4 days I'm going to be talking about my feelings about Japan now that I'm back as an adult, because a lot of my feelings of how much I loved Japan and how I felt about Japan was, when I was between the ages of being born till I was 20. So there's a lot of things that didn't really concern me at the time that I notice more now that I'm in my 30s and I've seen the world a little bit and I've lived the world a little bit. So things that didn't concern me back then definitely are things that I notice now. Some I like, some I don't like. A lot of them are, like financial things, government things, political things that I don't really think about. There's a lot of comparisons that I can make between living in the States and being in Japan. And even that isn't black and white. That's not like, oh yeah, America is better than Japan or Japan's better than America. No, they both have their pros and cons. So I'm going to be breaking that down for you guys in the next 4 days. I'll probably check back in maybe another 4 or 5 months, see how I'm feeling about being in Japan, because I know by then I'll be in a completely different place and I'm sure I'll have different feelings about things. Then I think it'd be kind of fun to check back in every once in a while to see the progression of how I view things as time goes on. But I think for anybody who's thinking about making a transition or have already made a transition from one place to another, one thing I recommend is, in the beginning, if you're feeling sad or homesick, give yourself time. Any change, even if you like change, any change is going to be difficult or frustrating sometimes. And sometimes it's not even that you dislike a place. Sometimes it's just that you haven't built enough of a connection to a certain place to make that new place worthwhile for you. Thank you for tuning in. I love you guys so much. I will see you guys in tomorrow's vlog, and thanks for listening. Peace. Bye.